good day to all our participants and attendees today. Welcome on behalf of future leaders on our platform. My name is Corrie van der Wath. I have two lovely hosts with me today. We're going to focus on marketing and marketing fundamentals. So without ado, let me introduce our two ladies. The first one is Nothemba. Nothemba, so from her bio, I took 3 words: marketing and communication space, passion for SMME development, and this is what this platform is all about, and then also the strategy of marketing. And then Celéste, our second panelist, specializes in the 4IR environment, which I also have a huge passion for, and that leads definitely to the new thinking processes, and she's also a brand specialist. So let me ask the ladies to introduce themselves, or my hosts. Some people don't always like the word ladies. Nothemba, over to you. Please tell us a little bit about yourself, your endeavors, share your passions, and then you can go over to your presentation. From there, I will pass on to Celéste to do her presentations, and then we'll take Q&A. So over to you, Nothemba. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Corrie, and good morning to everyone. I hope you are all safe at home or wherever you are in this not too warm or cold morning. And my name is Nothemba Gqiba again. As Corrie has said, I'm actually a marketing and communication specialist. I've been in the field for more than 15 years, where I've been working predominantly with SMMEs. I'm very passionate about SMMEs, their development. I'm very passionate about women development and youth development, because I think for me, SMME development talks to how we are going to grow the economy of this country and the entire global economy rather. My company, PieQuant, is mostly focused on training, marketing, and other soft skills. I'm not going to dwell much on the other soft skills currently. I'm just going to talk more about marketing, because I think that's where today's platform is all about. So what I do is to train SMMEs to think, how do they put their marketing strategies and plans together? Because a lot of times SMMEs do not understand what should go into a marketing plan, or how do they think through the entire process of putting together a marketing strategy together with its plan. The name of my company is PieQuant. So it's all about how you feel things, how you taste things. I'm more about feelings. I'm more about touching things. I'm more like that. I evoke feelings. I want to evoke feelings when I actually do things, or I want things to evoke feelings to me. So the approach to my presentation today is that I want to start by saying, with the 15 years that I've spent in the field, I've noticed that a lot of SMME businesses in South Africa, they actually start off as almost like an upside down pyramid, where you have a lot of things that you're doing at the top, nothing that you specialize on. You thought there was an opportunity, but you didn't think through what opportunities are there. You just want to get into business and you want to trade. That's what people do. It's not a bad way of starting a business, I suppose, for other people, because you're given opportunities, you don't have time to think of what to do. You probably think that you start to master this journey as you go along. But I want to take you through a proper process of saying, how do you then, once you've done that, and you have a host of products that you're working on, you have a host of things that you're doing, how do you narrow it down to say, what do I want to do and how do I do it best? So my approach would start with an idea. So you have an idea, you've done all 15 things, you've sold things to people, you've thought of ideas, you've written them on a piece of paper, you've checked with your friends, you're not too sure whether they're going to work or not, you've gone to your local grocery store and you've seen people in need of certain things and you think you can supply that better than anyone else. There's a lot of ideas that are actually ringing in your mind at this point in time. So you sit down as an SMME, you say, wow, here's a brilliant idea. I want to explore this idea further, and I want to see where can it take me to. But remember, what is important is that an idea, it's just a word that refers to a thought or a concept. It's nothing more than that. So if you want to put together a strategy or a plan around that, you need to take your idea further. You need to start thinking deep about what you want to do. So my approach today, I'm not going to give you a silver bullet to say this is what you do to put together a marketing strategy, or this is what you put together to do a marketing plan. But I want to take you through the thinking process so that when you sit at home and you have this idea that's really ringing in your head and you're very excited about it and you think it's a viable idea, how do you then take that idea and put it into a marketing plan that you can take out there to either financiers or to your colleagues or to whoever that you want to work with and make it a business? So today's approach is going to be that. So once you then come up with an idea, what you do is to research the idea. You need to research the idea and make sure that you look at the growth potential of that idea. Because it's good and well to target things that are actually happening now, and there's no growth post 6 months or a year from now on. And as I indicated earlier on, that a lot of businesses do start like an upside down pyramid. People find a lot of opportunities. Currently, there's a COVID situation. Some people see COVID as a short-term opportunity. Some people see COVID as a long-term opportunity. It depends what your thinking process is. If you want to get into the PPE market for a long term, you could see growth in the COVID space. And if you think that your current approach is just to sell what is required now, milk what you can milk out of it and leave that space, that's still fine. I don't think there's a problem with that. But what is important is that do your thorough research. When you do your thorough research, you look at what are the growth opportunities, whether the market is saturated or not. How is the market going to actually change going forward so that you can prepare yourself? Because when you plan, you're not planning for today or 6 months, you're planning for many years ahead of time. When you put it together, your strategy, you're saying, this is where I'm at and this is where I want to go. So it's very, very important to make sure that when you do have an idea and you really, really feel that it's a viable idea and you want to stick to it, do proper research on it. Do a thorough research on it. So that when you do decide to take all your efforts and all your hard-earned income and put it in it, you know that it's worth it. So it's always very important to make sure that you have done a thorough market research on the idea that you want to explore. Once you've done that, you then look at your marketing mix. Your marketing mix is now saying, I've got an idea. It could be a product, it could be a service. Now, this idea that I have, how do I then make it a viable idea? Who do I sell it to? What places will I sell it at? What promotional strategies will I employ? What price will I actually then charge for it? Now you're starting to think deep into this idea because now you're really excited. You see that your marketing research has shown you that there is potential for this product. It could be local, it could be international, it could be many other ways of actually trying to sell this product. So you now sit down and you say, here's my product, here's my target market that I have in mind. Now I'm going to use COVID because I think it's the in thing now, not that in a good way, but unfortunately that's what we're all talking about. Now there is COVID in the country or in the entire world, there's COVID. Now you're thinking there are masks that are required out there. People want to go out. We are level 3. People are thinking of going out. Level 3 allows people to go out and have something, maybe coffee or a little bite with friends. How do I come up with a mask perhaps that's going to enable people to be out there, still be covered and protected, however, at the same time, still be able to enjoy their meal or whatever that they're having. So you sit down and you explore this product and you think, okay, wow, here's an idea, a mask that could probably have a mouth that flips open or closes or something like that. I don't know, you'll be more creative than I am in this instance. But you find an idea and you say, fine, here's this mask. Then who is the target market for this mask? Currently, you're saying the entire world is the current market. And how do you sell this mask? You say, okay, fine, this is how I'm going to do it. This is how I'm going to do it. How do you price this mask? You look at your competitors out there. You say, okay, my competitors are actually pricing it at this, but do they have a similar product to mine? Am I really in competition with these people, or am I above what they're offering? You look at all those things. So you explore every little detail of your product and your target market based on the marketing mix, which are your 4 Ps. It's your price, it's your promotion, it's your place, and it's your product. So the 4 should be aligned. So if you are looking to launch a product that's at the lower end, let's just say for those people who are SMMEs, perhaps you're starting off, you don't have much, and you're thinking, okay, I want to launch a product where I can actually target mom and pop stores, or I could target general dealers or spaza. It's low end. Your price should speak to that target market because you're saying, who's going to buy my product? My product is probably a bar of soap that you can use during this COVID period. It is regarded to have a very good concentration of antiseptic, so it can be able to chase the germs and this and that. But I want to target, because I want to mass target. Now I'm targeting the lower end of the market. So you then have to make sure that your price appeals to those people. So you can't take an expensive product and go and put it in a mom and pop store and put it in a general dealer in a spaza shop. So your price must be aligned to that. Similar to your promotion, how do you make this product visible to your target market? You make sure that you use strategies that are going to make sure that those people at that segment of the market can be able to access your information, your promotional information, when you talk about this product, what it can do and how it can assist them. So it's very important that the marketing mix needs to be aligned with your target market. So you've got a target market in mind, high end, I'm thinking of selling something in Sandton or in Waterfront in Cape Town. What is the price of that product? It should be aligned to that, because remember, price is what people are prepared to pay for in exchange of your product or your service. And it has to be correct. That's where it starts. Because if you have one of these variables not matched to the other one, then there's a problem. Because if you have a marketing mix where your price is too high, but your product is low quality, your place where you actually promote it is also not aligned to the target market or the price, then everything is messed up. It's very, very important that when you sit down and you put together your marketing mix, you have everything well thought through. From your product to your target market. This is my product. These are the people that I want to sell these products to. This is the place where I think these people can access my product at. This is the price that I think these people are willing to actually pay for my price, for my product or service. This is a promotional strategy that I'm going to actually put in place to make sure that people know about my product, where to access it and how to access it. So it's a very, very important aspect of your marketing strategy. That's where it starts. It's very, very important. If you miss that point, then you might have problems going forward, because whatever that you put in, if it's not aligned to those four, if those four are not aligned, then there's a problem with how you are going to take to market. Then once you've done that, the marketing mix, you look at your SWOT analysis, which is your situational analysis. You look at your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. You say, what are my strengths? Okay, fine. I've looked at I've done my research. I've looked at who are the competitors out there. I've looked at the viability of this product. I've looked at the growth opportunities that this product is offering. Who else is actually in this space? How are they doing it? How do I make myself different from them? So you differentiate yourself based on your strength. You say, okay, fine, this is what I'm bringing to the table. I know that there's so-and-so who's doing masks that are like this and this and that and that, but my mask is going to be different. Probably you look at texture, probably you look at a whole lot of things. It could be health benefits that it's going to offer. It could be a whole lot of things. So you focus on your strengths, and you need not to leave that. You latch on your strengths, because your strengths are going to give you your differentiating factor. And then you also then look at your weaknesses. This is all internal. You say, okay, fine, I might have these strengths and I'm very good at this, I know it. However, I lack in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And believe you me, having weaknesses, is nothing wrong with that, because not all of us are jack of all trades. But you say, how do I then complement my weaknesses? How do I make sure that I turn my weaknesses into my strength? What do I need to do? You look at many things. You can partner up with people. You can find experts who can advise you on that, who can work with you. So you identify each and every weakness that's going to actually make it difficult for you to actually pass your hurdle, or make it easy for you to go through your hurdle. So what is important is that your weaknesses, don't dwell on them. It's not the end of the world, but it's saying, how do I then address my weaknesses? I know I'm not good at this, I'm not good at that, I'm not good at that. Get assistance when it comes to your weaknesses, but also make sure that as you get assistance, you know that it's aligned to what you want to achieve. It's very, very important. So that's, you're doing this now, it's more your internal analysis of what you can produce and provide as a business. Then you go outside and you say, what are the opportunities actually that are out there? Because remember, what you can do then with those opportunities, that some of your weaknesses, you thought they were weaknesses at the time when you looked at yourself, but they can actually be opportunities for you. You could actually convert those weaknesses into opportunities, because they could pose a very interesting angle on how you position yourself to say, okay, actually, I'm not good at this, but if I do it this way, and there are people, remember, what you think, you're not the only person who's thinking that. You must always remember that there's other million people thinking the same way that you think. But you need to also test your market to actually make sure that what you are thinking is what other people are thinking too. It's always very important to test your market as you go along with this. So you look at your weaknesses, you turn them into opportunities, because now you're thinking, weakness one, if I don't have perhaps a very solid mask, what are the key other maybe material that I can use? Maybe I was looking at a paper mask, or I was looking at a cloth mask, but it's probably something that we could mix together and come up with a different fabric that would actually be quite stronger in terms of blocking all these diseases and all these things. You look at that. Now there's an opportunity there. Who do you contact to make sure that now you take this opportunity to the next level, so that it becomes now something that you can explore? You need to do that. So your opportunities, although they're external, they're actually your strengths. They can actually make your business, because you can capitalize on them and then bring them forth to become your strength. You can actually capitalize on them and then also educate yourself and empower yourself to make sure that you work on those and you excel in them. Your threats. Your threats, at times, you find that you don't have much control over them. Your locus of control is minimal when it comes to your threats. However, you can try and make sure that those threats that are going to make it difficult for you to operate, you try and deal with them. There is social threats, there are political threats, there's a whole host of things that are happening out there that can make it difficult for you to implement what you want to implement. Make sure there's compliance, there's governance issues, there's a whole lot of things, statutory issues that are there. So make sure that you look at your threats and you say, what is threatening me in my business? What is it that can make it difficult for me to operate in this current environment? How do I need to resolve it? So you look at your threats and you say, what is it that I can do? Do your list and say, what is it that is key to be dealt with now in order for me to start operating? What is it that then I can do next. So you do an entire proper list of what you need to attend to. That is external of your business, but it's critical for you to make sure that you have a conducive environment that you can operate from. Because your threats also, they threaten your environment. It's very, very important that you make sure that although you've got your product, you've got everything, your environment is conducive for you to operate. You have created that environment, and your threats can also be a stumbling block if they're not actually looked at. So once you've done that, now you are in the process of saying, now I know my product. Now I've thought about how I want to sell this product using my marketing mix. I've looked at the price, I've looked at the product, I've looked at the place, I've looked at the promotion. I kind of know I'm going to pitch my product at high end. It's going to go to Santon. It's going to be a boutique. I'm going to have, when people walk in, there's a bell that rings at the door. People can take pictures, have a glass of champagne as they walk in, this and that and that. Or you can say, it's going to go to a spaza shop. People can buy this at 1 cent, but I know I'm actually making, the volumes are high. I don't need to really spend much on my advertising. I'll probably just do more word of mouth. I'll do this and that. So your strategy will be determined by what product you want to take to the market and who your target market is. So that's very important. The SWOT analysis, you look at what do I have now, having looked at all my marketing mix, what do I have internally that I can utilize to make sure that my plan gets to the next level. Once you've done that, you now go to your next step. You look at your mission. You now have you've done an in-depth look at what you want to do. Who are you? What do you want to achieve? What is your mission? Because now your mission, you've looked at everything for the longest time. Now your mission is that little voice that every day when you go to bed, it wakes you up and you say, no, you haven't done this. It's that little voice that says, when things are difficult, it pushes you. It says, wake up and do this. It's that little voice that says, you committed to this. This is what you want to do. This is your passion. So your mission then, you put together your mission statement. Your mission would be, starting with your vision. Your vision would be a statement that describes a long run objective of your company, usually for a time frame of 5 to 10 years, even longer. So this becomes your roadmap, your vision statement. You say, okay, fine, I've done everything. I've now identified where exactly I want to be in this space. Now, how do I then position myself? What is it that is going to differentiate me? So your vision statement and your mission statement, they become a roadmap, but they also become your differentiation statement that says, what is it that I do differently? Because remember, we all sell bread, or bakeries sell bread. What makes your bread differently? What makes it that a customer will want your bread compared to someone else's bread? What makes you to want a specific brand compared to that? It's that little thing that makes them different. It's that little thing that talks to their heart. So your mission and your vision is critical. And you need to sit down and say, how do I make this me and the customer that I want to service? The customer that I want to, how do I make the customer that I want to service and with my product or my service understand what I want to actually offer to them? What is it that makes me different? So it's a statement, it's a roadmap to say, how do I get my goals? How do I get there? How do I make myself different? Because a lot of times, when you create a brand, Celéste will talk to, a brand speaks to these. What is your mission? What do you want to achieve? What is your vision? How do you go about it? How do I differentiate? It's a differentiating statement because we can all sell petrol, but what makes Shell different from another petrol station, another petrol brand? What makes bank brands different? They all deal with money. Money is money, but it's that mission, it's that service, that commitment, that little voice that says, when I go into this particular brand, I know this is what I expect. I know this is how I want to, how they deal with me, how I receive and consume their products. It's very, very important. So for me, it's critical that after you've done all this research, you now look deep into yourself and say, what is it, that little voice that even when I wake you up at 2 a.m. and say, what do you want to do? What do you want to achieve? You are able to say that in just no time. You don't have to scratch your head. And this is something that you impart to all your team that you work with. They need to understand what you stand for. It's what you stand for. Because if your team members, remember as an SME, you're a small business. So when you go and recruit people who are going to work with you, they must understand your vision and your mission. They must buy into that mission and vision. Because those are your people that you're going to work with to build this dream that you have. It's so critical to understand your vision. Don't be everything to everyone. Be what you want to be. And what is important, don't impose who you want to be to people. It's about taking what people want from you and saying, how do I package it in such a way that they are able to receive it? So your mission and vision is not exactly about, oh, this is what I want. It's about what people want and how can I put it together. But once you get to that point, you now have to go deeper and say, how do I segment and target and position? If you look at your segmentation, it says segmentation now, it's a very critical stage of your presentation. You say, how do I then divide the market into distinct groups of consumers, in segments? Now you have the whole market, but how do you say that I want a target market, that I want a segment of them that wants to buy fancy masks, or that wants to buy masks that they can go out and eat whilst they're wearing them and still looking nice. And then once you've done that, you target them. You say, how do I then select the most attractive target group in here? So you've got a whole host of people who want to go out. They can go out to either a Chisanyama or a fancy restaurant or a 5-star hotel, whatever. But where do I see a lucrative market within these different target markets, these segments? Then you go for that and you say, I'm going to position myself at the high end. I'm going to position myself to people who would want to go to a Michelangelo environment and are able to pay 1,000 for a mask that's flashy and this and that. That's very important. And then you start now positioning yourself. That is, you determine how you're going to position the product each of these segments. You say, okay, I've chosen the Michelangelo high-end market. This is how I'm going to position. This is how I'm going to do everything to make sure that these people are able to access my product and I'm able to speak directly. Okay. Once you've done that, you now choose your unique selling proposition. Your unique selling proposition is what customers want, what your competitors do well, what you do well. You now find that space. You say, they are the customers, they want this. These are my competitors who actually do this. But what do I do well? You find that space and you latch onto that space. You hold onto that space with everything that you have to make sure that you differentiate yourself and you make yourself unique. Once you've done that, then you put together a marketing strategy, because now you've put all the puzzles of your marketing strategy together. This is your thinking process that I've taken you through. You put your marketing strategy together and you say, in your marketing strategy, you start to understand your customer, you analyze your sort, you take the information that you got from your sort, you put your marketing competition, how are they behaving, what are they offering? You look at your marketing networks and you say, where am I going to actually network? How am I going to put this? You plan your marketing mix and you say, based on my 4 Ps, how am I going to execute? You design your execution plan and you review. So that's your marketing plan that you put together to say, how do I do this now after I've collated all the information that is critical? Your marketing strategy will focus predominantly on your product and your service, because that's what you are taking to the market. So what's your unique selling proposition? What are the features that you have? You use user cases. Where are the people going to use? How do you see people using this? Are they using it at a restaurant? Are they using it when they go out, this mask? Is it something that they can take to a different place? So what are the use cases that you want? Because also, when you have a product, think of how people are going to use it, because the more they use it, the more you gain sales. It's important to do that. So your user cases are very critical. You don't have a product, you don't want to put a product that you're just going to sell. It just performs one function, and that's it. It's important that it must be a little bit diverse in its performance. You look at your target group, you segment them and their personas. You look at your market size, your segmentation. Your market size is very important. It speaks to the growth of the market and how you segment that market in terms of making sure that you're actually looking at the segment of the market that has potential to grow. You look at your company image and your expertise. You look at your marketing tools and you look at your competitors, what they do. So you're putting together now your strategy. You budget for it, because it's of no use having a high-end Lexus type of strategy and you don't have a budget for it. So it's very important that whatever that you actually choose to do eventually is well within your budget. Once you've done that, you then look at your plan. Your plan, you define your strategy again, your goals, what you want to do. I want to get into this space by this much time. I want to sell this much units by this much time. I want to make this much revenue by this much time. Within your goals, and then you put your marketing mix. How do I do that based on my marketing mix? You choose your external communication, what channels are you going to use, and then you actually go and say, what messages am I going to actually communicate? Your message is going to be consistent in all various platforms. But for an SMME, I think I'm going to advise that you go to the digital platforms. It's the most viable, I think, cost-effective tool that you can use in terms of marketing yourself. I think I'll end here. I'm not going to take it more. And then post that, you monitor it, and you make sure that you make the changes accordingly. And thank you so much. Once again, my name is Nothemba Gqiba, and that's my email address, nothembagqb@gmail.com. For any further communication or questions, please feel free to contact me. Thank you so much. Thank you, Corrie.
Thanks a lot. Spot on. Celéste, over to you.
Thank you very much, Corrie. Good morning, everybody. I'm Celéste, and I'm a chartered marketer. And my purpose here today is to see if I can give you some actionable advice in this minefield of information that you can Google if you are totally confused what to do and what money to spend to actually start making an impact on your marketing. So I'm going to try and keep this short in 10 minutes, and then hopefully you can ask me questions on the information that you need. First of all, I've spent quite some time asking SMMEs, and I've been working with SMMEs for the past 20 years, what is it that troubles them in their own businesses? And I could see that they really struggle with cash flow. They struggle with time management and how to get more customers. And more importantly, they struggle with what to say to those customers and on what platform to communicate to those customers. So what I would try to achieve today is to quickly explain to you what the difference is between brand management or brand strategy and marketing strategy, and then to use what you surely have heard of before, the funnel, to explain to you what you need to check out for to make sure that you get better results when you implement your marketing strategy. First and foremost, what is a brand strategy? A brand strategy is that little person that you are creating when you create your own business. It has a personality. You have to decide what makes it truly unique. You have to give it values. It consists of having a culture. It has a heritage. Where does it come from? And obviously, where does it want to go? It's got friends who are actually the audience or the target market. And then you have to determine how you engage with this target market and how you build relationships. At the heart of your brand strategy is your brand essence. And this shouldn't be confusing at all. The brand essence is actually everything that you do and say every single day. And the brand essence is guided by what your brand purpose is. It's extremely important to decide what is it that you want to achieve. And Nothemba also touched on this when she spoke about defining your mission and that thing that keeps you awake at night. So what is brand strategy? Marketing strategy then? A marketing strategy is when you take different tactics of how you want to reach your target audience, you add money to it, and the ultimate goal of adding money to it is to get a return on your marketing investment. Marketing should not be a cost, but for every marketing rand or randella that you put in, you should get more than a marketing rand back. So marketing strategy in essence must make a difference to your business. We call that the marketing return or the return on marketing investment. Would you embark on marketing tactics if you get 2 rand back for every 1 rand you put in, or even 100 rand back, or 500 rand, or 1,000 rand? That would make for a very good return on your marketing investment. So you can say branding is the why and marketing is the how. You've obviously heard of lead generation before. And what is lead generation? I would like to sum that up for you. Lead generation can only be successful if you plan it. That means, why do you spend money? And what are the goals that you want to reach? If you integrate it, what does integration mean? What do you spend your money on and where do you spend it? And then obviously if you measure it, because if you don't measure it, you can't see what works and what does not work. What do you get back on that marketing money that you put in and that you spend? We often refer in marketing speak to the funnel. And an easy way to remember that with all the noise is awareness, interest, desire, and action that's created by you from different platforms to get new clients and to keep them after you've worked them through a process of telling them more about your business. That's very easy to remember because you can just memorize the word AIDA. Would it surprise you that 80% of SMMEs think that marketing is not driving their sales pipeline? So what do you need to look out for when you do successful lead generation? First of all, what is your plan and how is this lead generation process going to work? You need to have a structured mechanism. And that mechanism consists of various items that educate people, interest them, and channel them through your funnel. And they can be summarized as blogs, social media updates, photographs and infographics, microsites. In the middle of the channel, it works to educational resources and quizzes. And then at the bottom of the channel, you can even do webinars or demos and tell your customer stories to convince other customers to use your product. Important is to know who the people are that you want to sell to, and we call that a targeted audience. You can identify who they are by listing their demographics, how old they are, where they live, their behaviors, what they usually do, and their psychographics. That is how they act on certain advertising and certain communication that you send out to them. When you build awareness, it's incredibly important to make sure that everything you communicate from your brand looks the same. If you don't have consistency in your brand application, you will confuse this audience and they will not actually know and recognize your brand. So what makes you better than or different from your competition? This is the question that you have to ask if you want your target audience to be interested in what it is that you're offering. Here's a link for you, and you can quickly take a photograph of your screen to tell you and to give you some thought on making you different. Are you using the same promises as your competition? Do you use the same design elements? Do you use the same overall look and feel? Are you advertising on the same channels? Do your clients have a very difficult time telling you apart from your competition? Do your elements that you use tell your brand story, or does it resemble your competitors? So if you've answered yes to any 4 of these above questions, you are selling a Me Too brand. And you have to go back and think, what is it truly that I do different from my competition to stand out? So we call this a differentiating message, and Nothemba touched on this in her marketing strategy discussion as well. Now you want to make sure that you do and place your communication in the right place at the right time by planning it. And it's easy if you can identify where your customers are looking at information or searching for information, and when are they on those very specific channels. Ultimately, you want to drive them through to take action and buy from you. So now, once they bought from you, you want to make sure that you know how you're going to speak to them and how you're going to treat them to channel them into your CRM. And a CRM is a customer relationship management system. You cannot do this unless you have your clear campaign targets beforehand, unless you know what it is that you want to do and achieve, how you're going to get them to buy, and what you want to get out of this. This is an example and a case study of work that we've done, where over a 3-month period, we invested 65,000 Rand and the client got 4.42 million Rand back. That is true marketing investment. Remember that you can do marketing investment through your packaging, through communicating emotions with your clients by the feature images or hero images that you choose for your brand, consistency in application, your application on digital platforms that communicate and educate, and don't forget about the ever important vehicle branding that you can use for your small business to make a difference. You can also tell stories about your brand and make your brand different in that way, and connect in a truly informational way with your audience in what interests them. So if you think that your marketing doesn't work, let's quickly recap. Set your goals, your targets and your budgets, refine your audience, make sure that your message differentiates you from the competition, make sure that you select the media and the platforms where your customer is going to be, do consistent implementation of your brand across all platforms, Feed your customers into your CRM system so you can retarget them and sell to them again. On average, it's 10 times cheaper selling to an existing customer than getting a new customer. Upsell your offering to your existing customers so that they buy more of your products. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Celéste. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I think both of you guys covered it extremely well. So I'm not going to summarize what you said. I've just made a few notes because one of the things I firmly believe is to be practical. That's why we have the webinars, that people can go away with an action plan. So I made a few notes. I think one of the most important things in life is to realize that all of us have money to pay for a problem to go away. And I always say, when someone says, how do I brand myself? I say, how do you buy from brands? I mean, when you spend your own money, how do you make a decision where you spend it? Because your clients will most probably use very much of the same strategy. The second one is, back to what Nothemba said, understand one thing, and our next webinar is on that. It's on people have different approaches. And I believe a lot in brain profiling and profiling. Some people, like you could see, Nothemba has a right brain approach, the connecting approach, the I like people, let's connect. I'm more a left brainer. Just give me the basic information, I'll figure it out myself. So understand your clients, because how you sell to a clarity person is slightly different than you sell to a harmony person or let's say a bonding person. So understand your clients. We call it hyper-personalization. You'll see it more in future, that you actually focus, especially when you're in a business that's got less clients. You must be very specific how you address the client's needs. The other point I made was back to COVID. I listened to a very nice, it was Alan Rees that spoke about, as a SMME, are you strategic or opportunistic? Now, COVID people that sell masks and sanitizers and stuff, that's fairly opportunistic business. You see the business in short term, I'm going to make a few bucks from that. I mean, I have the benefit to sit in different industries with business, and the one like consulting, engineering, or infrastructure is a business where people, there's only space for strategy. So the SMMEs, or the people surviving in business in the infrastructure, those are high on strategy. There's always a strategy you think about today, tomorrow. We're not opportunistic because we build infrastructure that must last a lifetime. So you also need to, as an SMME or as a business, decide, am I more opportunistic? Because you can be both, but you must understand your recipe of how your business works. Do I do everything through a SWOT analysis, or do I have an analysis or do I have, I'm a bit of a run and hit and run? Because both can make good money and both can lose good money. One of the other things that you need to understand about a business, it's a moving target. Don't think once you've sorted it, will stay there. It won't. So I generally sort of work with the companies I work with to say, you look here, then you look there, and you look there often. Because when you look here, it's cash flow. When you look there, it's pipeline. When you look there, it's long-term sustainability. Understand that they are equally important when you do SWOT analysis. There's actually 3 different analyses. I've also coined a term called SWOT-R. The R represents risk. Remember, the reason why you do a SWOT analysis is because you want to decide the risk profile. Will I be here short-term, medium-term, and long-term? Right, my next point, and I think that's what COVID taught us, the entire world can be our business. Believe it or not, it's not that difficult. And as I say, I play in different industries. I mean, the consulting industry is more worldwide. If you're a contractor, it's far more difficult because you relocate equipment and stuff. So it's business specific, but don't lose the fact that we are beyond borders with how we offer our process. And also beyond borders mean the same service you deliver in South Africa, someone else is most probably delivering in Nigeria. Someone else is most probably doing it in Russia, and someone's most probably doing it in England. Go and look at the examples. Go and Google and see, what can I learn from other people in terms of their approach? My old saying, people buy from people they know, they like, they trust, and for goodness, they need it now. I know a lot of people that know us, they like us, and they trust us, but we don't drive the sale to the point that they need it now. I mean, I think it was Peter Sage who said only 3% of people really know what they want and go out and buy it. The other 97%, you need to surface with them to say, okay, my marketing strategy and the way I put that the 4 things that have a product, price, promotion in place. People need to be driven towards it or lured towards it. It's not a natural thing. You're only as big as your network. It's extremely important. And networks is built exponentially. When you only have one networking friend, it's different from when you have 2 or 3. 3 will most probably expose you to 12 people, 4 people to 12 people, where 3 people to 9 people, and. So the bigger your network, the better your offtake. Then to my last few points, brand purpose. I think it's extremely important to understand. I think one of the biggest challenges we have at the moment, we are totally information overloaded. If you don't have a specific message, you'll get lost in the crowd. I see that more and more as we go along. Always measure your ROI, or like Celéste was saying, ROMI. You don't want to put money towards something, then you can rather use your marketing money and give people discount for good service, because it's spending money to make money. So it's important that you understand, what do I get back from what I spend? And then the old saying, money makes money, but wasting money doesn't make money. So use your money strategically well to build your brand. Your job is to drive the sales pipeline. I mean, we've started this webinar series, and I look at what other people do with webinars. They most probably remind you 3 times a day, from a week before the webinar, that there's a webinar. Drive some of us nuts, but if you don't drive your business, you don't have to. Someone else will drive theirs, and they will take from you. Then my second last point, understand your audience. The point I wanted to make, and I think Elon Musk made the point, that between 8 and 6 people out of 10 will not like your brand. So you have a choice to go to those who like your brand, or you have a choice to convert those not liking it to like it. My feel, and I share that, is it's a waste to try and convince people. Start with those. We actually divide them into 3 to say those are not interested, those who are interested, and those who are committed. The committed ones will buy. You need to identify them quite quickly. If you stay with the interested and trying to convince the not interested, it's money you're going to spend that you will have a low ROI or maybe a negative ROI on. And then the last one, just to summarize, to say brand consistency. Make sure people recognize your brand. That's why a logo is not a picture. It's a photo or image, let's call it an image, that you want people to look at. Nike. That's most probably your Nike. That's most probably your best example. Is when you see it, you know exactly what it stands for. It's not a clutter, it's clean. So the brand is clear. I just want to see questions. Yes, we have one. On social networks and social platforms, and I don't want to play the one against the other one. I have my own mind between whether it's LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and a lot. For the business, I know those are more business specific. In our game, if I talk about engineering, you'll most probably think LinkedIn and maybe less Twitter. If you are in a different, let's call it an Apple's brand, Twitter might be better. Any preferences from you guys? Some input? Where should people go, and how should they work out a strategy for social media?
So that is a mistake that I often see made by social media, by SMEs. They tend to talk to colleagues and network, and then they feel that they need to do the same things. So you need to be where your clients are. If your clients are on Facebook, then that's where you need to be. If your clients are on LinkedIn, then that's where you need to be. A very important thing that coexists with any platform that you use is that you use that platform not in isolation, but as part of a strategy, and that you also use that platform to educate and engage with your customers so that you can build reputation and trust. It doesn't matter who your audience is. They don't want to be advertised to all the time. They want to learn about your business. So I think ask yourself the question first, where is my client or my customer? And how much do I need to educate them to tell them more about my business to build trust and not only advertise?
And it confirms what you said earlier. Nothemba also mentioned it. Is that's, can I call it singularity of brand? That whatever your brand strategy is, everything must align. And there are always I always say business are only about 2 things. People taking ownership and people being aligned. And aligned means that everything talks to everything. from what was that, your brand purpose or clarity, right through to whatever supports the platform that you sell off to.
Your brand purpose is so important because it's the guiding factor. Once you've decided on your brand purpose or your brand essence, you can use that to appoint new people, to go into new relationships, to develop new products, because everything is going to boil down to what it is that you are trying to actually achieve.
If I just want to go back to the question that was asked, I think it goes back to, you've answered it, to say the 4 Ps, the alignment of the marketing mix: your target market, your product, your price, your promotion. It's very important. That promotion, it touches on all the different channels that you want to utilize, because I think as Celéste said it, be where your clients are. So you choose that promotional platform, whether it could be LinkedIn, it could be wherever. It's based on who is your target market and what is your product. And that also, that platform will be determined by how much information you want to convey. If you're going to go to LinkedIn, you can be detailed, you can do a lot of things. If you're going to go to, so each platform offers you a different way of communicating. But what is key is the consistency of that messaging. Whether it's a paragraph or a sentence or a book, it must be consistent. There must be things that you can align and you can say, this is from the same brand, this is from the same person, they're pushing the same message. So the platforms are really dependent on who you're talking to. As I indicated earlier, I made an example of going to a spaza shop. If you go to a spaza shop, you might say, maybe I want to go to Facebook. Maybe people do go to Facebook, but also you might want to do, not even go to channels and actually do a direct marketing where you actually issue out flyers. As much as it might seem to be outdated, but people want to know what's the special today, what's this and this. So the entire process should be based on your marketing mix. Who are you targeting?
Yep.
And how do you then go about it?
Yeah.
Where are those people?
Nothemba, thanks a million. Okay, we're getting a few questions now. One statement says, never forget timescales. I think timing in business is one of the crucial things, very well noted. And then also prepare for competitor defensive strategies. If you are prepared for this, you can create further opportunity. I think one of the very important things, and that's what I'm going to conclude with, is go and look at what other people do. If you're in the engineering space and you find no one on Twitter in engineering, it is a bit of an opportunity, but I wouldn't spend too much money there. If I'm in the art environment, which is very much sorted by, let's say, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, I would spend some money on LinkedIn, but not everything. So align your stuff, understand it, but also look at what your competitors do. And back to Celeste's questions as well. If you duplicate exactly what your opposition is doing, you also need to understand, so what am I doing differently? And I want to conclude with something Marnus Broodryk said. He said, if I Google plumbing in Gauteng, I'll most probably get 770,000 plumbers or 675,000 plumbers, but I'm still looking for a good one. The point I'm trying to make, and what he was trying to make, is it doesn't always have to be a new idea. Or because new ideas, remember, can cost you lots of money because it's not really tested by the market. Sometimes it is good to just be competitive and do what you do, be the best in it, and you can actually penetrate the market that's got a very well established sort of client base, but you just do it differently or better or shorter than other people. And that's also an opportunity. Don't always, so what I'm trying to say to business people, it's nice to have new ideas once a business is established, but to start a business on a new idea is a challenge of a different world. And so I'm going to conclude by saying thank you, Nothemba, thank you, Celéste, for participating with us today. This is one of the beginning ones. We will pursue some of the questions coming in future ones. Thanks for your time. Thanks for all the attendees today. I trust you've learned from it. Please keep on posting the questions. We will answer in emails to you. So enjoy the rest of the day. Again, thank you for your participation. Enjoy.